We're here talking about the 2012 NAB show and the great content shift, the demand for content anytime and anywhere. What's interesting about this, Rick Ducey is joining us, who's a member of the Program Advisory Board. Let's talk about shifting technologies, Rick. I think people get overwhelmed by technologies a lot. Do you agree with that? That people, most Americans or most people that consume content haven't tapped into what their device can do, maybe 20 or 30%?
You know, that's a good starting premise, but people are picking up on it. You know, there used to be the one great measure of technology literacy in the country, and in many countries actually, is the percentage of VCRs at the time flashing 12. People didn't even know how to program at the time. That's changing a lot. I mean, we've had generations now that have grown up with the internet. So I think it's people more in the older demographics that have that viewpoint that technology is a challenge and a barrier to overcome. I think, you know, definitely a growing part of the population, it's first nature, let alone second nature. We have the so-called digital natives, which is a growing percentage of the population, and the digital immigrants. Digital happened to us, you know, as an after fact instead of how we grew up.
Let's talk about two-screen technology or different technologies around the two different screens. We recently had Mike Prue in here from Hill Holiday locally here in Boston, and I was fascinated with some of his stats. He's writing a book about it, but he says that television numbers, and he's not the only one, but he says television viewing numbers are actually increasing exponentially. What's going down are the number of people that are watching video content, television, just on TV. They're using the second screen, a web, a mobile technology to do stuff. You need to start to think about that in shifting technologies, don't you?
Absolutely, and really all parts of the whole video ecosystem need to recognize that fact. There is a shift in content, as we've been saying, but also in audiences and in technology. Is this whole ecosystem, the landscape resource itself. In terms of viewing, what happens when you add more viewing options to people? Does one viewing platform cannibalize from another viewing platform? And we at BIA, Kelsey actually did a big research project for the Council for Research Excellence looking at this. And the answer, looking at almost 150 different studies, is no. The viewing does not really get cannibalized. The more viewing options you add to people, the more they say yes. So their total viewing across a 24-hour period increases.
You know, it's really cool. In the week of April 16th in Las Vegas at the 2012 NAB show, you're going to have on display all of these technologies, the shift right in action for you. And when you think about it, you know, when you think about content, from creation to consumption, these technologies are impacting content along the way at every single point of it. And when you think of consumers, and when you think of the way to do business, I'm really excited about the show because you're going to be able to showcase how it's affecting all of it.
The show is such a critical place for gathering people from different parts of this content world. And just like you laid it out, the content flow, the life cycle, the workflow is changing because it used to be video was just a linear storytelling experience. It has a beginning, middle, and an end, and it's going to go to a TV set eventually. Well, that's changed. The programming has become interactive, and we talked a little bit about two-screen TV, so you have content that's designed, it just has a different flow. Some of the content's designed for the main screen, the TV screen, and some of the content's designed for a second screen that has some augmentation to what's going on in the first screen. Maybe you're looking up some database information to see what's going on with that particular TV episode, who the characters are, what the plot summary is. That's a different place for ad inventory, so you can monetize that second screen differently. It's a place for social TV to happen and do a check-in service and make recommendations to my friends. And that impacts the whole content workflow. So as you're designing content, the tools you're using, the platforms you're using for content creation, post-production, and distribution, that whole chain is becoming enormously empowered with change and new ways to engage with the viewers.
The tools are changing. How do you keep up with it? The shifting technologies, it's all on display at the 2012 NAB show the week of April 16th in Las Vegas. He's Rick Ducey. I'm Butch Stearns. Thanks for being a part of this conversation.